Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Navami, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Ram की जय, Ram Navami Mahamahotsav ki jai. Now I will give you the darshan of Radha Network. Did Kalakant Prabhu join?
Not yet, Prabhu.
Not yet. So should I wait for some time more?
Maybe a couple of more minutes. Navin Krishna Prabhu, what do you suggest?
Yeah, so let's wait for a few more minutes. Let's continue Kirtan. When he comes, then we can take it from there.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Yeah, Prabhu join.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Yay! I think Kalakantha Prabhu joined, so I'll give you darshan of Radha Network. जय जय श्री राधा नेटवर्क की जय, गौरानिताई की जय, गिरी गोवर्धन की जय, जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय, एंड श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय. हरि हरि बोल.
Hare Krishna, Darpan Prabhu, thank you very much for giving us a darshan. Thank you, Kalakantha Prabhu. So happy to see you again. So happy Sri Rama Navami to Prabhu and also all the devotees. The devotees is heading back from temple who is serving prasadam right now. So we're making almost, I heard the 200 boxes went. It's very nice. Thank you very much. And then Kalakantha Prabhu doesn't need introduction, but however, for my own pleasure, I'll just say a few words. It's so wonderful devotee, down to earth, and then he's initiating spiritual masters, practicing Krishna consciousness in almost 5 decades. He's a director for ISKCON, Gainesville, Krishna House. So there he oversees the college preaching program, and Krishna House management, and also distributing prasadam, doing the kirtans for many years, Florida University, Florida. So we're fortunate that he's going to talk about the topic for today is 3 lessons in leadership from Lord Rama for Ramayana. And then he's been here many times, so most of us actually associated with him. But we would like to take association again and again. Thank you, Prabhu. So now we can take over from here, and then Eric.
Thank you.
The devotees, we humbly request, please, if you can open up your video cameras, we can see your illustrious faces. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Naveen Prabhu. It's very good to see you. And everybody, Hare Krishna. So, yes, today is this auspicious appearance day of Lord Ramachandra. And you've been celebrating with Kirtan, and you were distributing prasadam today also, is that correct?
Yes, Prabhu. So we did RSVP and then cooked the prasadam there. So 170 devotees RSVP. So almost it went around 200 boxes has been distributed.
But before we start, may I ask, how is the health of your community? Have you had many COVID cases amongst the devotees?
No, there's only one so far. That's also 3 weeks before. And the past 1 year, there was nobody exposed. Of course, they're on and off. I haven't heard anything as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
But there was one official case 3 weeks before when one girl, she was volunteering from making the garlands, and then she was exposed. And immediately we sent out an email communication. We also told everybody, those who were involved. So with that service, and then they tested, and then everybody came out negative, so no issues.
I see. But one person died last fall, no, from COVID. That was
Not from Columbus.
No, Romania saying no. That was some other cause. Oh, Rukmini, tell us, please. What was this?
Sylvester was one of our congregation members. He was coming very regularly, and he died of COVID.
Yeah. So now I remember. There's one American. I remember. But he was not associated in the temple, but it happened outside. It's not exposed to temple, but he was a congregation member.
I see. I understand.
Happened in his house. Yeah. Thank you,
Hare
Rukmini Matas, for making it. Yeah.
That has been a very difficult year, huh?
Yeah.
Well, one of the good things, though, is to discover this means of having communication and classes together. It's really amazing. I'm doing much more interaction with devotees, it seems, over Zoom than ever before. But it is great to see you all, and under these remote circumstances, have your association.
How about your location, Prabhu? Is everything okay?
Yes, by Krishna's grace, we have no cases at the Gainesville Temple. One of our devotees contracted while he was traveling in New York, but we've been able to continue the prasadam distribution, and the Bhakti Academy activities are going on. Everything has been very steady. People have been joining the ashram, and the lunch program is going daily on a smaller basis. So many of us have gotten vaccinated now, so it's good to be able to move around again. How about in your community? Many vaccines? Are people able to get vaccinated?
Yeah, most of the people, and it's still in progress.
Yes, still in progress, yes. Well, it is a good opportunity to remember Lord Ramachandra. So I'd like to start this evening by reading some excerpts from Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadev Goswami is speaking with Maharaj Parikshit. And in the prelude to discussing Lord Krishna's pastimes in the 10th canto, Shukadev Goswami says he's giving the lineage of the dynasty in which the Lord comes. So in this lengthy discussion, he comes upon the appearance of Lord Ramachandra.
Did we lost him?
Yes, Prabhu. It looks like Prabhu is having connection issues, maybe.
Yeah. Back. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Somebody can call him parallelly. Alak Prabhu or Ramesh Prabhu can call, see what's happening. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Prabhu's internet went down. He just called me. He's trying to fix it right now. In 5 minutes, he'll let me know if the internet has got fixed or not. Is there any other alternative, Alex? Maybe.
So, I do see
iPhone?
Kalakantha Prabhu has joined.
Who is it joined back?
He's still trying. He's not fully joined.
Maybe another option is to try through the phone, Prabhu, instead of Wi-Fi. You can connect through the phone. At least we can, instead of computer. That's another option.
Yeah, give him an option.
Do we have the phone dial-in details?
No. What I'm saying is join the Zoom through the phone instead of computer. That's why
Yeah.
you can use
Phone
the,
internet. He's saying phone internet.
yeah.
On Wi-Fi or data plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's joined. Oh, we again lost him. Okay, he will join. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So if it doesn't join, so what is the backup plan? Ramchitra, can you give a class? Put him in a spot because he just did last Sunday. Or Prem Sindhu Prabhu.
Already devotees tolerated me for 1 hour, 1.5 hours on that day. So I don't want to do that again.
No, it was a nice class.
It has to be somebody else.
No, just back. Prem Sindhu Prabhu, you there? Yeah, so just in case if Prabhu cannot join or if has an issue, internet doesn't come, so we want to continue. So we will keep trying. And then can you be back up?
Okay, whatever I know, little.
Yeah, sure. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Any update, Alek Prabhu or sister?
Prabhu, Alec is trying to see if Prabhu can dial in to this meeting.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Ramji, you were trying to say something?
No, I was saying there are a couple of suggestions on the chat also. Until Prabhu joins, why don't we read the 9th canto?
Yeah, that's also good.
Prabhu joins, or whenever we make a decision, either Kalakantha Prabhu or Prem Sindhu Prabhu, that's when we can stop reading Bhagavatam and then one of them can continue.
Yeah, so why don't you start the page, share? Somebody can do it.
Who will read?
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. Would anybody like to read the?
Go ahead, Prabhu. You start, and then people can take turns.
Sure. So should I start?
Go ahead.
Okay. Chapter 10, the pastimes of the Supreme Lord Ramchandra. This 10th chapter describes how Lord Ramchandra appears in the dynasty of Maharaj Katvanga. It also describes the Lord's activities, telling how he killed Ravana and returned to Ayodhya, the capital of his kingdom. The son of Maharaj Katvanga was Dirghabahu, and his son was Raghu. The son of Raghu was Aja, and the son of Aja was Dasaratha. And the son of Dasarath was Lord Ramchandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the Lord descended into this world in his full quadruple expansion as Lord Ramachandra, Lakshmana, Bharata, and Shatrughna descended. Great sages like Valmiki were actually in the knowledge of the absolute truth, described his transcendental pastimes. Srila Sukadeva Goswami describes these pastimes in brief. Lord Ramachandra went with Vishwamitra and killed Rakshasas like Maricha. After breaking the stout and strong bow known as Haradhanu, the Lord married Mother Sita and cut down the prestige of Parashurama. To obey the order of his father, he entered the forest accompanied by Lakshmana and Sita. There he cut off the nose of Shurpanaka and killed the associates of Ravana, headed by Kara and Dushana. Ravana's kidnapping of Sita Devi was the beginning of this demon's misfortune. When Maricha assumed the form of a golden deer, Lord Ramachandra went to bring the deer to please Sita Devi. But in the meantime, Ravana took advantage of the Lord's absence to kidnap her. When Sita Devi was kidnapped, Lord Ramachandra, accompanied by Lakshmana, searched for her throughout the forest. In the course of this search, they met Jatayu. Then the Lord killed the demon Kabhanda and the commander Vali and established a friendly relationship with Sugriva. After organizing the military strength of the monkeys and going with them to the shore of the sea, the Lord awaited the arrival of Samudra, the ocean personified. But when Samudra did not come, the Lord, the master of Samudra, became angry. Then Samudra came to the ocean with great haste and surrendered to him, wanting to help in every way. The Lord then attempted to bridge the ocean with the help of advice from Vibhishana. He attacked Ravana's capital, Lanka. Previously, Hanuman, the eternal servant of the Lord, had set fire to Lanka, and now with the help of Lakshmana, the forces of Lord Ramchandra killed all the Rakshasa soldiers.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Looks like Kalakantha Prabhu has joined.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, I was able to get in by phone. Thank you. And we're seeing if we can resume the internet. Thank you. You're reading from Bhagavatam, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes. Reading from 9th Canto. Okay, very good. Well, yes, in this section of Bhagavatam, the Shukadeva Goswami tells Maharaj Pariksit that you have heard about these pastimes so many times. You know them well, so I'm only going to give you the summary. So we see that there's just a summary being provided here in the 9th Canto. I'm presuming that most of you have read Ramayana, and because Prabhupada does not give us a lot on Ramayana, I'm going to try to make this a little bit interactive discussion and ask you to share pastimes that you might know. Is that all right? So, in considering Lord Rama, of course, is the ideal ruler, and this is his particular quality as an avatar. He is known as the ideal king and the emblem of Dharma. So we are looking at him as a leader, and of course, we might say that not all of us have leadership responsibilities in our lives. Not all of us are executives or directors of other people. But on the other hand, we are leaders within our families. We are leaders within our friends' circles. We are even leaders within our own body, the city of 9 gates, with all of the various elements, including the various personalities described in the 4th canto, King Paranjana. So the wife, the mind, senses, all of these are elements of our lives which we lead. So leadership does apply to us all. And I want to sort out 3 particular qualities of Lord Ramachandra's life to share tonight as highlights or outstanding features of his leadership. The first is, as we all know these pastimes well, Maharaj Dasarath was prepared to turn over the kingdom to Lord Ram, his eldest son. Now, as it turned out, Dasarath, who was leading a prosperous kingdom and leading very well with great love and affection from his subjects, had one unfortunate incident in his life. He had been hunting, as is the responsibility of kings, to keep their martial skills sharp. And while hunting, he was able to use his incredible abilities to shoot game just by hearing them. In other words, you wouldn't even have to see them to fire accurately. So this is one of the martial skills he was testing. So as it happened, one day he was listening for game, and he heard what he thought was the sound of a deer drinking at the river. So just on the basis of the sound, he fired an arrow.
I think we lost him again.
Yeah, but it's still there. Then phone number is still displayed.
Yeah, he generally doesn't get good signal in the place where he lives. That's what I know. Even for his phone, right? Even for his phone signal, cellular signal is also weak.
Hare Krishna Kalakantha Prabhu, if you have muted your phone by mistake, can you please check? We are not able to hear you. No, I think Prabhu is disconnected because the logo of the phone call is turned gray on my screen. It's generally green when it's connected.
Yeah.
I can give him a call again and check.
Yeah, try. So to continue reading Bhagavatam? Hari, go ahead.
We're over here, right? Yeah. Previously, Hanuman, the eternal servant of the Lord, had set fire to Lanka, and now with the help of Lakshmana, the forces of Lord Ramchandra killed all the Rakshasa soldiers. Then Lord Ramchandra personally killed Ravana. Mandodari and other wives lamented for Ravana, and in accordance with Lord Ramchandra's order, Vibhishana performed the funeral ceremonies for all the dead in the family. Lord Ramchandra then gave Vibhishana the right to rule Lanka and also granted him a long duration of life. The Lord delivered Sita Devi from the Ashok forest and carried her in a flower airplane to his capital Ayodhya, where he was received by his brother Bharata. When Lord Ramchandra entered Ayodhya, Bharat brought his wooden shoes. Vibhishana and Sugriva held a whisk and fan. Hanuman carried an umbrella. Shatrughna carried the Lord's bow and 2 quivers, and Sita Devi carried a water pot containing water from holy places. Angada carried a sword, and Jambavan, Riksha Raja, carried a shield. After Lord Ramchandra, accompanied by Lord Lakshmana and Mother Sita Devi, met all his relatives, the great sage Vashishta enthroned him as king. The chapter ends with a short description of Lord Ramchandra's rule in Ayodhya. Hare Krishna. So, would we want to read the purports as well, or do you want to just read the translations? Or I'm not receiving a verbal.
Yeah. So one more last time. Alekro, do you have any update? Did you reach him?
Yeah, no, Prabhu. He could not. I could not speak to him. It just went to his voicemail. But I'm not seeing any text reply either. So I'm just assuming that he's having some very bad network issues out there.
So right now the time is 7:04. So we'll give 5 more minutes, and then if it doesn't, and then 7:10. Premchandra Prabhu, can you be ready to give a class for 40 minutes?
I think Ramdev Prabhu can give better because he knows Ram's pastimes more than I. But I can say whatever I know. Yeah.
Please go ahead, Prabhu. Please go ahead, Premchandra Prabhu. We would like to hear from you today.
Okay, so let's continue for 6 more minutes. By then at 7:10, if Prabhu doesn't come, at 7:10 he can start the class. Go ahead, Hari Prabhu, just read the text for now.
Sure, Prabhuji. Text 1. Shukadev Goswami said, the son of Maharaj Khatvanga and Dirga Bahu and his son celebrated Maharaj Raghu. From Maharaj Raghu came Aja, and from Aja was born the great personality Maharaj Dasaratha. Being prayed for by the demigods, the supreme personality of Godhead, the absolute truth himself, directly appeared with his expansion and expansions of the expansion. Their holy names were Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, and Shatrughna. These celebrated incarnations thus appeared in 4 forms as the sons of Maharaj Dasharatha. O King Parikshit, the transcendental activities of Lord Ramchandra have been described by great saintly persons who have seen the truth, because you have heard again and again about Lord Ramchandra, the husband of Mother Sita. I shall now describe these activities only in brief. Please listen. To keep the promise of his father intact, Lord Ramchandra immediately gave up the position of king and, accompanied by his wife Mother Sita, wandered from one forest to another on his lotus feet, which were so delicate that they were unable to bear even the touch of Sita's palms. The Lord was also accompanied by Hanuman, or by by another monkey, Sugriva, king of the monkeys, and by his own younger brother, Lord Lakshmana, both of whom gave him relief from the fatigue of wandering in the forest. Having cut off the nose and ears of Shurpanaka, thus disfiguring her, the Lord was separated from Mother Sita. He therefore became angry, moving his eyebrows and thus frightening the ocean, who then allowed the Lord to construct a bridge to cross the ocean. Subsequently, the Lord entered the kingdom of Ravana to kill him, like a fire devouring a forest. May that Supreme Lord Ramachandra give us all protection. In the arena of the sacrifice performed by Vishwamitra, Lord Ramchandra, the king of Ayodhya, killed many demons, rakshasas, and uncivilized men who wandered at night in the mode of darkness. May Lord Ramchandra, who killed these demons in the presence of Lakshmana, be kind enough to give us protection. O King, the pastimes of Lord Ramchandra were wonderful, like those of a baby elephant. In the assembly where Mother Sita was to choose her husband, In the midst of the heroes of this world, he broke the bow belonging to Lord Shiva. This bow was so heavy that it was carried by 300 men. But Lord Ramchandra bent and strung it and broke it in the middle, just as a baby elephant breaks a stick of sugarcane. Thus the Lord achieved the hand of Mother Sita, who was equally as endowed with transcendental qualities of form, beauty, behavior, age, and nature. Indeed, she was the goddess of fortune who constantly rests on the chest of the Lord. When returning from Sita's home after gaining her at the assembly of competitors, Lord Ramchandra met Parashurama. Although Parashurama was very proud, having rid the earth of the royal order 21 times, he was defeated by the Lord, who appeared to be a Kshatriya of the royal order. Carrying out the order of his father, who was bound by a promise to his wife, Lord Ramachandra left behind his kingdom, opulence, friends, well-wishers, residents, and everything else, just as a liberated soul gives up his life, and went to the forest with Sita. While wandering in the forest, where he accepted a life of hardship, carrying his invincible bow and arrows in his hand, Lord Ramchandra deformed Ravana's sister, who was polluted with lusty desires, by cutting off her nose and ears. He also killed her 14,000 Rakshasa friends, headed by Kara, Trisira, and Dushana. O King Parikshit, when Ravana, who had 10 heads on his shoulders, heard about the beautiful and attractive features of Sita, his mind was agitated by lusty desires, and he went to kidnap her. To distract Lord Ramchandra from his ashrama, Ravana sent Maricha in the form of a golden deer. And when Lord Ramchandra saw that wonderful deer, he left his residence and followed it, and finally killed it with a sharp arrow, just as Lord Shiva killed Daksha. When Ramchandra entered the forest and Lakshmana was also absent, the worst of the Rakshasas, Ravana, kidnapped Sita Devi, the daughter of the king of Videha, just as a tiger seizes unprotected sheep when the shepherd is absent. Then Lord Ramchandra wandered in the forest with his brother Lakshmana, as if very much distressed due to the separation from his wife. Thus he showed by his personal example the condition of a person attached to women.
Hey, Prabhu, I think it's a 7:10 now.
Yeah.
So any final information, Alec, from Prabhu? Okay. So let's stick with
Hare
our
Krishna.
schedule.
Yes. I have been able to resolve the difficulties, I believe.
Wonderful.
Can you hear me now?
What a timing.
Okay. Good. No, I've been listening. It's wonderful.
Okay. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Okay. So we were able to read some of these pastimes, and that's all I was going to do. So we're in good shape. Should I proceed, Naveen Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Please go ahead.
So, okay. So we're going to talk about 3 leadership lessons. Have to Bharat.
The voice is breaking up.
Voice is breaking up. Tough night tonight. Okay.
Yeah. It's better now. It's better now.
Better now?
Yeah.
Okay. So Lord Ram was very abruptly deprived of his kingdom, but he took that without the slightest bit of regret. In fact, he said to Kaikeyi that you didn't even have to tell my father about this. If you had just asked me directly, I would have immediately given up the throne and gone to the forest. So the first lesson of leadership from Lord Ram is detachment. He was detached. And this is so important for leadership because let me back up a moment. First of all, we may not all be in official positions of leadership, but we are all leaders in our own way. We're leaders in our families, we're leaders at our work, we're leaders amongst our friends, we're leaders even within our own bodies. We are, the chief living entity among many living entities that comprise our physical body. So one way or another, we all have leadership roles. And detachment in leadership means to be able to be cognizant of our insignificant position in relationship to our Supreme Creator. Our Creator has given us these positions of responsibility, and our business is to execute them to the best of our ability, with the understanding that as we've been given this role, we may lose this role at any time. When we identify ourselves with our leadership positions, whether it's the head of a corporation or the head of our bodies or our families, we risk the false ego getting involved and thinking ourselves superior in some way, when in fact our position is very dependent. So Lord Ram's exhibition of detachment is a great lesson for all of us. No matter what our position in life, it is dependent upon the Supreme Lord and not something that we are by rights entitled to. So any comments or thoughts on this first lesson? Any other pastimes you can think of in which Lord Ram exhibited detachment?
There's one comment I have. So Krishna has 6 opulence. One of the opulence is detachment. And then for him is a detachment. So for sadhaka is an austerity. In the path of bhakti. Yes. But from Krishna's perspective is detachment. For the people who are practicing in a Vaidhi bhakti, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, and the detachment is not natural, it's an austerity. Austerity eventually has to become matured, then it's a fruitful. Otherwise, it can be hypocrisy also. So would you like to say something about it?
Detachment is an austerity, you're saying? Yes, in other words, if I understand you correctly, Prabhu, you're saying we may become proud of our renunciation. We may become proud of our detachment.
Correct. For example, like what I meant to say, austerity, that means I had to get up in the morning, 2 o'clock, and taking the cold bath, fasting, or reading, whatever it may be. But I have to do something. It's not natural. For fish to swim in the water is natural. I had to learn. So this austerity is not normal for me. So then anything out of comfort zone I'm trying to do is an austerity. The eventual austerity leads me to spontaneous. So during that process, that austerity can also, as you said, it can be a binding factor for me. I can be proud of an austerity.
Yes, proud of my austerity, proud of my detachment. This is obviously an oxymoron, because detachment implies humility. And detachment implies I don't care what other people may think of me. I don't demand their respect. I don't require their respect. That's the real meaning of detachment. This life is so ephemeral, and yet we have so many things we consider so very important. And detachment means recognizing that the things that we consider very important are really, in and of themselves, not that consequential. After we leave this world, how many people will remember us or remember what we've done? In most cases, very few. So being detached is not being insensitive or being irresponsible. It is being realistic. And therefore, there's nothing really to be proud of in our position. We can accept in that position all kinds of responsibility without becoming excessively proud. So I hope I'm addressing your question, Naveen.
Yes, so thank you very much. In other words, there's nothing to detach. I don't have anything to detach because I'm not the enjoy processor anyway. So for me, even artificial thinking I'm detaching, that itself is the defeat in the purpose. That was the point I was trying to make.
Yes, thinking I'm detached. Yes. Yes, I'm thinking of a verse from the Gita where Krishna says that if we externally give up things and yet remain internally contemplative about them, then we may act detached, but we're really just pretending. So this is a false kind of renunciation that doesn't really do us any good in our spiritual lives. This is not the kind of detachment. Lord Ram did not give up the kingdom externally, but hanker for it within. He had no qualms about simply setting it aside. and going on to the forest. In fact,
We lost him.
Yeah.
He left us with a cliffhanger.
We can practice detachment.
I think I heard something. Hare Krishna Kalakantha Prabhu, can you hear us? We cannot hear you.
Yeah, it keeps turning gray and green for me.
So as he's joining, anybody has any comments or things what Prabhu said so far? If you have any questions, we can discuss. As he joins, we can continue.
I think what he was talking about detachment, if I'm not mistaken, I heard it in Canto 11, chapter, I was just trying to look it up. I want to say it was chapter 9. And it was talking about we should more or less try to be like a snake, where snakes are comfortable living in the home of another animal that made the home, and no, it didn't say a snake, it said a python. That the python is comfortable living in the home of another animal that made it, but it only gathers things that come its way. It doesn't go out looking for things. So as we, in my opinion, as we try to become more detached from people, situations, and things that come our way, we should just try to take it slow and easy, in my opinion, so that we're not jumping into some water that's, over your head, you know what I mean? We should stay, waist deep, you know what I mean? Like at times when I first came to Krishna consciousness, the first thing I thought about was like, maybe I should get rid of this expensive home. Like maybe this is weighing me down. And then I started realizing like, wait, I have family. Like I better take care of my responsibility with family. As I look at Prabhupada, like he lived a family life till like, if I'm not mistaken, till like his early 50s. And then, he started to slowly renounce things. Nobody said that like he just got divorced or, just cast his family to the side. Slowly but surely he became detached little by little, so that we all could benefit, from his books, his teachings, and everything like that. So I guess, what you're saying in a nutshell, like, yes, slowly take steps towards the light, of detachment, but don't go out there running, you might trip and fall.
That's good. Thank you, Andy Prabhu. Anybody else would like to share what they understood from this concept of detachment? In the meantime, Alekra, please continue to try for him. We can.
I think what
Yeah,
Prabhu was saying, that as a leader, one should do the right thing, and one should not be attached to what the outcome will be, but one should do the right thing. So, as a son, Lord Ram obeyed his father and he went to the forest. Whereas Arjuna also wants to become detached in Bhagavad Gita. He says, I want to go to the forest. And Krishna is saying, no, it's your duty as a Kshatriya to fight. So he's saying another way. And then I was just thinking.
That's correct. Thank you, Prabhu. The same Arjuna, eventually when the time has come, he renounced. They made their grandson as a next king, and then they left to Himalayas. So in other words, the detachment has its timing also. And then I heard another wonderful topic from Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. Real detachment is detaching the idea of detaching. because even I was thinking I want to detach. First of all, I didn't have anything anyway. I came with nothing, or with nothing. But idea of detachment itself, like detaching. I think we have Prabhu coming.
I keep getting detached.
After you left, Prabhu, you're talking about detachment. Please go ahead, continue.
I'll tell you. It's funny because I'm giving this marvelous lecture and then realizing that nobody is hearing it.
What does it matter whether anyone's hearing or not? You can just be detached.
Oh, and this time Prabhu actually got completely disconnected.
He did completely detached.
Navin Prabhu, what is that thing you said about Chaitanya Prabhu's definition of detachment? Can you repeat that?
Yes, sure. What he said is, Krishna, detachment is opulence. Sadhaka, idea of detachment is kind of an attachment. And then real detachment is detaching the idea of detachment. That means accepting Krishna is the owner, I am his servant. So to that, it should get attached. And the detachment is a default. Detachment is not it's not a subject, it's an object.
Okay.
I could share a little from our upcoming book. We have a little. We talk about these six opulences, and we have a little section about detachment.
Go ahead.
So should I share it visually, or well, anyway? Maybe I'll just read it. So if we are drawn to vairagya, equanimity and freedom, at first it may seem that it already means we are sacrificing rather than enjoying a particular type of wealth. This point is a little bit subtle. The Bhagavad Purana says, when one gives up the selfish conception by which one thinks, this is my property and that is another's, and when one is no longer concerned with the pleasures of one's own material body or indifferent to the discomforts of others. Oh, I forgot I was not sharing my video. Indifferent to the discomforts of others, one becomes fully peaceful and satisfied. One considers oneself simply one among all the living beings who are equally part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Such a satisfied soul is considered to be at the highest standard of service and devotion. So this is from the Bhagavatam 11:252. The key distinction is that one whose renunciation is in the spirit of healthy sacrifice does not become indifferent to the discomforts of others. Practicing renunciation as an end in itself is called dry renunciation, which has a few drawbacks. It can engender pride in oneself and foster looking down upon those who renounce less. It can lead to a buildup of fiery energy that forces a release through bursts of anger. It can be difficult to balance and hard to sustain. So that goes to the point that Bhakti Andy was bringing up. And finally, one may facilitate this kind of renunciation by numbing one's senses, becoming less attuned to sensory experience. In this case, a person may honestly not even perceive what causes discomfort to others, as one has drawn a veil of ignorance over one's awareness. Then there's a footnote, which I will skip. There are some things to remember about these points. Regarding the second point about the fiery energy, apparent renunciation can be disguised aversion rather than neutrality. Regarding the third point, which was about it being difficult to balance and hard to sustain, when real renunciation is based entirely on neutrality, it can tip into either enjoying, first by contemplating on a mental level, so that's what Prabhu mentioned, Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, verse 6, or hating what one is renouncing. Either way, falling under the sway of anger destroys the freedom of renunciation itself, and one's renunciation has denied one other types of pleasures. A metaphor for this unfortunate situation is found in the Srimad Bhagavatam, where it states that although detachment allows a person to cross an ocean of difficulties, persons without compassion and love for the divine are likely to be drowned in a tiny puddle of their own anger, making all their renunciation useless. This is
I think Prabhu is back, I think.
Oh, great. Okay. That was Srimad Bhagavatam 11:4-11.
Thank you very much. Prabhu?
Wonderful. Yes, thank you. I'm so sorry all of this has happened. It's I live in a rural area, And our internet has been very reliable, but all of a sudden it just died. And my phone is very weak, but I've come to a location where I believe we'll have a better signal. So
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. So we've been discussing detachment and Lord Ram's detachment. And I was wondering where I lost you or where you lost me. I was speaking about Bharat coming to see Ram. Do you remember this? Was that audible?
No.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. All right. Anyway, Ram ruled with detachment. The other quality that he showed that was so important for us is to understand delegation. Lord Ram was able to recognize the talents and abilities of others and give them appropriate assignments. And having given them responsibilities, he was then able to empower them and support them in their work. For example, after helping Sugriva deal with Bali, then he assigned the monkeys and his other assistants to go out and find Sita. And they went in all directions. So this is one of the most difficult things for leaders to understand, that we need to not only assign responsibilities to others, but then make it our duty to help them fulfill their expectations or to fulfill their responsibilities. I'm reminded of when Hanuman got to the edge of the ocean, and it was his duty to investigate Sita's whereabouts in the south. So when they all came to the edge of the ocean, Hanuman said, "Now what are we going to do?" And Jambavan, who was with Hanuman, told him, "No, you can jump this. You can jump to Lanka and fulfill this part of your assignment." So in this case, Jambavan was able to remind Hanuman of his strength. And this is what good leaders do. They want to see others succeed. It is their service to see others exceed their limitations and grow. This is all that good leaders do. Srila Prabhupada once said that our whole process of Krishna consciousness is training others. So since every living entity is essentially a servant of Krishna, Nityasiddha Krishna Prema Sadhu Sadhu Noi, Shravanade Sudhikite Karya Udo. The living entity becomes empowered to revive his Krishna consciousness through the process of hearing and chanting. This is the business of every devotee, for themselves and for anyone they may share Krishna consciousness with. So leadership means not taking everything upon ourselves, but taking upon ourselves the task of helping others do things. It is better to help others accomplish more in their lives, even if we could do the job ourselves more expeditiously. By learning how to fulfill to expand their abilities, other people grow. And that is the role of a leader, to help others fulfill their potential. Can anyone think of other examples from the life of Lord Ram where he showed this ability to delegate and empower others?
When he
Are
led
you
his
there?
brother Lakshmana, when he told his brother Lakshmana to start looking for Siti Devi, basically let him lead the search, you know?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yes. That's good.
Sugriv.
Sugriv.
Yeah, he appoints him as the king of the Vanaras and delegates him to take over the army.
Yes, and to lead in the battle against Ravana. Even when Hanuman found Sita, he offered to take her back, but Sita said, "No, it must be Lord Ram who comes." So that was, in a sense, another example of delegation, of empowerment. That it was Lord Ram who Sita wanted to see have the honor of her rescue, even though she could have escaped with Hanuman. Other example. What's that?
Another example, Prabhu, is building the bridge.
Please go ahead. Tell us more.
Because he delegated it because he himself could build a bridge, but he let the monkeys and all the other animals do it.
Excellent example. Yes. So this is leadership. Leadership means to care more about the welfare of others than our own, and to always put the relationship before the service that must be done. Do you remember the example when the bridge was being built? How Hanuman was bringing huge boulders, and the squirrel or the spider, as the tradition of Ramayana may say, was bringing only small pebbles or dust. But as Hanuman told them, get out of the way, I have important contributions to this bridge. Lord Ram said, no, their contributions are equal to yours. You're both giving everything in my service. So this is empowerment. And the leader is much more concerned that the persons he or she is leading are more enthused and fulfilled and successful in their service than the leader is about getting the service done. The relationship always comes before the service. This is proper delegation, and it requires patience. You know, one of the most common examples of this, of course, is for parenting when you're raising children, because children go through these stages of life where they're totally dependent, and then they become progressively more independent to the point where if you're successful in raising them, they will be self-reliant, responsible adults. And so the role of the parent also has to change along with that. The leadership provided by the parent, gradually turning over more trust and responsibility to the child. This is difficult to do. And there's always a tendency to think, I need to protect the child. But the parent at some point has to become detached enough to delegate and say, no, now I trust you to do the right thing. I trust you to make your decisions. Even if you're going to make a mistake, I trust you to learn from it. So this helps reduce the tension that can arise in parent-child relationships and allow the child to become confident and successful on their own. So it's another beautiful example of Lord Ram's leadership. Any other examples for delegation you can think of?
Not the examples, bro, but I have a question. Is it okay to ask?
Yes, please.
So, Prabhu, you said that you made the point that even if it is delegated and if the result is not as expected, it's still okay. But sometimes if something is delegated to you, that's a very good thing for the leader. But for the one who is taking up that service, now for them, if they are qualified, not qualified, able to do, not able to do, and succeed or fail, that makes a lot of that brings a lot of encouragement as well as discouragement. So how should that be handled? Does the leader also see that quality in the person they're delegating anything to?
Yes, the aphorism goes like this: good judgment is the result of experience, and experience is the result of bad judgment. So allowing people to make mistakes is a big part of leadership. Giving them a chance to exercise their own initiative, their intelligence, and their own discretion, even if the result is not what was hoped on the first try. In the process of that, the devotee gains experience. So Prabhupada was so expert in doing this. He sent young men and women off to open up whole countries for Krishna consciousness. Young men and women who were barely 21 years old and had perhaps 1 or 2 years of experience in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada would say, okay, now go open a center in this country. Sometimes he sent them to countries where they didn't even speak the native language. And they went. And they tried their best. And in almost all cases, they were successful in getting a foothold for the Krishna consciousness movement in these countries. So it's not that a leader indefinitely tolerates mistakes or shortcomings, but the good leader is willing to give people a chance to fail, even if they're not experienced, even if it's a tall order for them. It will give them a chance to learn, to take responsibility, and to advance themselves. This is what good leaders do. They build people up. They don't push them down to retain their own power. They build people up so that they can expand what the team collectively can do. Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Also, Prabhu, you there? Yeah.
Yes.
So when you empower them, does it also need the person we're going to be empowered has to have a skills? For example, there are certain departments like finance department, for example. We want to bring somebody new, but there is some skills needed, some kind of an integrity needed since dealing with the finance department or some things critical events. So in that situation, what do you say?
I didn't quite follow your question. So you want to bring somebody new, and please explain again?
Yeah, so there are certain things to be delegated, certain things which needs some expertise and skills. For example, finance department or something conflict resolution or very confidential things which we cannot delegate right away.
Yes.
Because the person, we have to have some integrity, some experience. So otherwise it became a chaos. So what do you say for that?
Yes. That's very true. This is the quality of leadership, to recognize the abilities of their subordinates, the people that are working with them, and engage them accordingly. The responsibility should be appropriate for their skill set, but most of all, it should be inspiring for them. Because people can learn. This is the point. People can learn if they're given a chance to do so. So even if you require a certain level of expertise, we should always be looking at training others. And the person with the expertise should be encouraged to train a replacement, to train an assistant, to train a backup. So that there's always this process of teaching going on, always this process of growth, always this sense of empowerment of others. Yes, there has to be integrity in dealing with something sensitive like finances. Yes, there has to be expertise. The point is to see that everybody needs to be engaged, and we need everybody, but we don't need any one person, you see. In other words, we should know that although somebody may have a lot of expertise, the whole thing should not depend on one person, no matter how capable they are. This has been one of our secrets to the success of the Krishna House in Gainesville, that we always look to give responsibilities to up-and-coming devotees. We want to give more responsibilities to young people, things that may be beyond their expertise or their experience, but with careful training they can learn. And then we are able to let the more experienced devotees go on to other things and keep growing. And this flow is very helpful in allowing people to develop their Krishna consciousness, to develop confidence, to develop a variety of skills. Most of what we have to do in our ISKCON temple management is not all that elaborate or specialized. And this is my point about Lord Rama's leadership. The most specialized thing we all need to learn is how to empower others, whatever it takes. Our business as Brahmins, as devotees, is empowering others. Our business is not finance. Our business is not instruction. Our business is not preaching. Our business is helping others fulfill their abilities in serving Krishna. And in the course of that, we may do so many different services, but our main service is always thinking about how to empower others. Not holding on. You see, this is where detachment and delegation come together. I'm not trying to hold on to my position. I am looking to give my position to others. I'm looking to give my responsibilities to others so they can do, they can grow, and they can expand, and then that will free me to do more. So delegation with this attitude that you're my servant and you do whatever I say, this is not at all empowerment. Delegation means to give an assignment and to be there to support and help the other person be successful. So Prabhupada said it like this: the devotee should be a jack of all trades and a master of one. In the course of our spiritual development, we should become able to do all sorts of different things, at least with some degree of proficiency, whether that's technology, finance, management, pujari work, cooking. The devotee should be able to do all these different things. And to do that, to get that well-rounded skill set, we need to be able to delegate and be able to share what we know with others. So that's the point I'm trying to make. How does that sound?
Thank you, bro. It's very nice.
Okay. All right. Well, any other comments on delegation or any other thoughts? Any other pastimes?
Yeah, I have one, like Prabhu, like in terms of like not directly Ram, like but even Jambavan also like identified the potential in Hanuman, and he encouraged him to cross the ocean. So even the leaders, like you need to have that leadership quality, like identify the what is the best in the others, and try to encourage them, even if they don't know the what is the best they can do it. That's one example I can think of from Ramayana.
Very nice. Very nice, yes. Yes, people have amazing abilities. And if discovering our abilities in the course of our spiritual lives, that becomes part of our appreciation of Krishna consciousness. Henry David Thoreau said that most people live lives of quiet desperation, which means that there's this innate sense of being unfulfilled. Psychics know this trick, that anytime somebody comes to see them for a palm reading or a tarot card reading or a crystal ball reading, they will say things such as, "Oh, I see you have a lot of unrecognized potential." And everybody will say, "Wow, how did you know?" So our spiritual goal is uncovering that potential. And yeah, that's very nice. I was thinking about Hanuman going to Lanka. He was supposed to find Ravana, but he didn't know what Ravana looked like. So he was going from house to house, not being able to ascertain. And then he looked in one house and saw this very large man. And he was thinking, maybe this is him. Maybe this is Ravana. So he looked in and more closely, and he saw there was a deity of Lord Rama in this man's house. And he said, "What is this doing here? I'm in the kingdom of Ravana." So Hanuman couldn't resist. He went in, and there was Vibhishana, Ram's brother, and Ravana's brother. And Hanuman said, "Who are you?" And Vibhishana said, "I am a devotee of Lord Rama. Who are you?" He was bowing before this deity of Lord Rama. "And who," Vibhishana said, "are you?" Hanuman said, "I'm Hanuman. I'm also a devotee of Lord Rama." So Vibhishana said, "Oh, you are famous, great devotee of Lord Rama. Please tell me, how can I surrender? How can I surrender myself?" to Lord Ram? How can I become his devotee? So Hanuman said several things, but the one pertinent thing to this discussion is that you must, to surrender to the Lord, you have to understand the mission of the Lord, the purpose of the Lord. So in that case, Lord Ram's purpose was to rescue Sita, Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, and return her to Narayan. So Hanuman told Vibhishana, so now you need to figure out how you can help the Lord fulfill his mission if you want to be his surrendered servant. So similarly, we need to understand what is the Lord's desire. And the Lord's desire is to see that all of his parts and parcels connect with him, return to him, resume their service to him. And if we want to be surrendered to Krishna, then we need to be able to fulfill that desire of the Lord, whether it's with our children, our friends, other devotees, being in that mood of helping others expand their service. In this way, sharing our authority, sharing our inspiration, just as Hanuman did with Vibhishana. Okay, any other thoughts on this topic?
Yes, Prabhu. I have a question. So if we, on the topic of delegation, so if we have been doing a service for say 10 years, and it's our favorite service because we are neophyte and we do choose, like we like the service, we don't like that service. And I'm talking about myself. And if I have been doing this service for 10 years and it's time to delegate, now that's a very good thing that I found someone to take over the service, but then I lose on that favorite service of mine. Then I become like, oh, I mean, what should the person who has delegated the service do in that situation? Like after delegating?
Well, yes, delegation doesn't necessarily mean giving away our service. It can also mean expanding our service by engaging others. For example, let's say you're doing outreach programs to the college. So if you have a young person coming up, younger devotee, you say, okay, how about if you develop a program at this college? Or you take over the program at this college so I can develop it at another college. You see? We don't have to necessarily give up our favorite services, but we can expand them. We can expand our service. You see?
Yes, thank you.
Srila Prabhupada noted, yes, he noted this about the Americans. He said, when they were building the Mayapur temple, he said, we need 3 shifts every day. Do it the American way. 3 8-hour shifts, nonstop construction. And he said, my body is Indian, but my ideas are all American. This is my disease. I want to expand and expand and expand. So he had this funny way of saying that same idea that we can expand our service by delegating to others, not being afraid to give away our authority. We build up a program and we turn it over to somebody else who will learn and grow from leading it. Then we develop another program. So this is the idea.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. All right. Finally, last quality of the many qualities of Lord Rama's leadership, the last one that really inspires me is that of samadarshina, that is seeing others equally. This again was very vivid when Vibhishana, in his effort to follow Hanuman's direction, went to the shore of the Indian Ocean where Lord Ram and his camp had gathered preparing to cross. Vibhishana came in this mystical airplane that allowed him to fly across the ocean. And when he approached the camp, all of the servants of Lord Ram were very, very concerned. They said, oh, here comes Ravana's brother. He's going to attack us. And they pulled out their weapons. But then they saw Vibhishana was unarmed. And Ram said, don't hurt him. Let's hear what he has to say. So Vibhishana then presented himself before the Lord as saying, I want to help you in your mission to rescue Sita, and I'm here to surrender and to offer my services. So immediately there was a conversation amongst all the generals, Angada and Jambavan and others, very skeptical about this offer. They were saying that, how can we trust this person? This person is Ravana's brother. And what if he's just here to spy on us? What if he's just here to discover our plans and then he'll take them back to Ravana? So Lord Ram was listening to all of this. Hanuman then spoke up on behalf of Vibhishan and said, no, I saw in his house he had the deity of Lord Ram. He was worshiping Ram. And others said, this could just be a trick. This could just be some sort of way that he's trying to trick us. So Lord Ram finally said, I've heard enough. He said, I'm controlling everything. I'm allowing you to even have this conversation. And I say that anyone who approaches me with the sincere desire to serve, I will always accept. I will never reject them. I will always give them shelter. So in this case, Bibhishana, who was a Rakshasa and part of the royal Rakshasa family, was immediately accepted by Lord Ram. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada accepted very unqualified people from various degraded backgrounds without any kind of consideration of their bodily condition or their birth, rather just seeing them as spirit souls. In the Gita, in the 6th chapter, Lord Krishna says that the most advanced yogi will see a friend, a stranger, or an enemy with an equal eye. And why is that? It's because the yogi actually sees others on the spiritual platform. So how does this translate to leadership? This means that a leader has got to be free of petty ego battles and just making friends and enemies, creating dichotomies, especially within the Sangha of devotees. You know, we're all here for the purpose of serving Srila Prabhupada. We're all here for the purpose of serving Lord Krishna. How can we work together? How can we appreciate one another? Prabhupada said that the external forces that might be opposed to our Krishna consciousness movement cannot stop us. The only thing that can stop us is internal dissension. So this requires a great deal of spiritual maturity to understand others as spiritual beings, to understand others as sincere devotees, to understand others as well-intentioned, and to be able to see the good in them, even if there are faults. Srila Prabhupada had that quality that he would only see the good in others. He would find it out. He would recognize it, and he would appreciate it and acknowledge it, even if there were many, many shortcomings. So leadership, this is connected with delegating. It's connected with detachment. That is really, in essence, it means giving love to others. Giving love, which makes us vulnerable, which makes us, puts us in a position where others could hurt us. Not being afraid to do that. This is leadership. Giving of ourselves, extending of ourselves, and then accepting, forgiving, encouraging, working out problems, discussing them, finding out what it takes to get on the same page, and being a team. Nothing brings more pleasure to Srila Prabhupada. He said that was the proof of our love for him, if we cooperate nicely to spread this movement. So to do that, obviously, it requires all of us to understand these principles of good leadership. It requires all of us to understand that each and every devotee is precious and important and has something to offer. And finding out how we can achieve a cooperative union. This problem challenges us everywhere in ISKCON, because it's Kali Yuga and it's full of dissension. You know, so the keys to making it possible to have that united work effort in Prabhupada's service are detachment, delegation, and cooperation. Seeing each other with appreciation, seeing each other as valuable, putting aside our own egos, doing whatever it takes to help the other person feel encouraged. You can't please everybody. I mean, this is, it's impossible. Even many of Prabhupada's disciples could not remain in their Krishna consciousness. But still, many did. And this is proof of Prabhupada's unique ability as a leader to empower and to inspire and to win lifelong devotion and cooperation. Even after 50 years, with all the problems ISKCON has been through, 50-some years now, still it's going on, still it's growing. And it will continue to grow as long as devotees have the service of Krishna as their motivation. So those are my points on leadership from Lord Rama. I'm very sorry for all of this technical difficulties. Thank you for those who stuck with me here. Any further thoughts on this last idea of equal vision?
Yeah, in this regard, like I remember this example, Prabhu, like when the Ramis decided to build a bridge, like he saw both the Hanumans and the squirrel service as equally, and how small it might be, like, but how valuable it will be towards Lord service. That is one thing, like I remember.
Very nice, yes. Yeah, it's the encouragement, in other words, that was important. The encouragement was more important than the bridge. Other thoughts?
So you
Yes,
just
Prabhu.
said that the yogi sees everyone equally, and in the war, when Ram was doing the final rites for all the soldiers, he also did it for the demon soldiers because he saw he saw all the soldiers equally.
Beautiful example. Beautiful example. Yes, and even Hanuman, after Ravana was killed, Lord Ram delegated Hanuman, now you go and bring Sita. And when he saw Sita, Hanuman said to her, would you like me to kill all of these Rakshasas who have been tormenting you? And she said, no, they were just following your orders. I forgive them. And then Ram crowned Vibhishana as the king of Lanka. So in this way, he showed, yes, even his enemies, he did not despise them. He cared for them. He engaged them. Very nice example. Thank you. Any other thoughts or comments? All right. Well, Prabhu, it has been a pleasure, a truncated pleasure to be with you tonight. Thank you for your tolerance.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Really appreciate. In spite of that initial issues, but still continued. And thank you for giving 2 times, 3 times you tried back again. So appreciate. I think to get a nice signal, you went out of the way, and then I see all the 3 qualities which you are trying to give in a lecture, and then we see that example right away. Thank you very much. Detachment and delegation.
I think I may need I have to delegate my internet to a new IT provider, but we only have one out here in the country. Thank you, Prabhu. I hope to see you this summer, Krishna willing. And
sure.
Thank you for your wonderful association. Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram. Goes back to
Jai
Ramesh.
Shri Ram. Jai Shri Ram.
Thank you, Prabhu. So Ramesh Prabhu has announcements.
Yeah. Thank you very much, all devotees. Happy Sri Rama Navami to everybody. And I just make a couple of quick local announcements. First is our real gratitude to His Grace Kalakantha Prabhu for sparing his time and giving us his invaluable association. Second is we had a very successful Sri Rama Navami celebration today because more than around 200 boxes of prasadam have been distributed actually, and this is on a weekday, so that's why it's like an amazing event. And also, I don't know, I don't have words to thank all the people who are involved, starting with Naveen Krishna Prabhu, who cooked all the prasadam, and so many devotees helped him, and also amazing decoration. You might have seen of the Lord on the altar, and so all those things. So I can't just start giving out the names, and we'll go on for the whole night. So each and every devotee, I'm so thankful they made this a very successful event, despite all the challenges we are facing because of this COVID. And I'm very happy that everybody is following the COVID restrictions, like having the mask and social distancing and everything. So once again, happy Sri Ram Navami to all. And today we planned to give the monthly Sankirtan Festival scores, but so Hari has promised that he will do it next Sunday. So we'll have to wait. But today, whatever the results, we dedicate to the lotus feet of Sitaram. So definitely with their mercy is all happening, and all Srila Prabhupada mercy that we are all here today. And the other, only the upcoming thing is on Friday is a big day for us, because Friday is Kamada Ekadashi. So, and we have a 3-hour kirtan between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. And this Friday is furthermore special, is the Vyas Puja of ISKCON Jaipataka Swami Maharaj. So we would all appreciate if you can join the kirtan and encourage us. And then on the next Sunday feast will be there on Sunday. And the upcoming next month, we have again the big festival, Nazim Chaturthi, coming up. So that's all I had, Alek Prabhu. Thank you. If you have any other announcements, Alek Prabhu, otherwise we'll get a pause today. Thank you.
Nothing from my side, Prabhu.
I also want to thank you, Ramesh Prabhu, for coordinating this festival so nicely with the help of Chanda Prabhu. Thank you very much.
And also thanks to all the participants who stayed along despite of having so many glitches and shortcomings in technology. So
Really appreciate it. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyasya adidanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo.
Happy Ram Navami. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Jai Shri Ram.